Halloween, though one of the most undertaken holidays in the Western world, predominantly in the United States, where it became equated with dressing up in costume, performing trick-or-treating, and everything pertaining to spookiness, actually is far older, more mysterious, and complex in origin than most imagine. The confluence of centuries has molded this holiday from a host of traditions and cultures stretching over millennia. It is in this narrative that an attempt to delve deep is made into the fascinating history and evolution that Halloween has undergone, from the roots in ancient pagan rituals to becoming a mass festival as of today. The Celtic festival of Samhain, the beginning of Halloween. Halloween originates from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time when death would always be associated with it. The Celts, who lived about 2,000 years ago in what's now Ireland, the United Kingdom and northern France, considered the night of October 31st as a time when the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead was blurred, and when spirits returned to earth. Samhain was thought to be a liminal time, when the veil separating the human and spirit world was at its most tenuous. The Celts at this time believed that ghosts of the dead could return to earth and damage the crop or bring on disease. The Celts would build huge bonfires on which they would offer sacrifices, crops or animals, largely to the gods, to ward off these spirits and ensure protection into the darker half of the year. Costumes and masks are another of the many early customs of Samhain to survive in Halloween today. The Celts would wear animal skins and masks to camouflage themselves from roving spirits, believing it would disguise them and protect them from being recognized by any malevolent spirits. Divination and fortune-telling. Samhain was a time of divination. Because the veil between the worlds had thinned, it was believed one would be enabled to see into the future more clearly. People would perform all sorts of rituals with various means of divining the fortune, including throwing bones into the fire or reading the patterns left by them, in order to gain insight into the coming year. The Christian influence, All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, pagan festivals like Samhain were gradually supplanted by Christian holidays. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, also called All Hallows' Day, a day to honor all saints and martyrs. The evening before All Saints' Day became known as All Hallows' Eve and would eventually be known as Halloween. In addition to All Saints' Day itself, the Church also celebrated All Souls' Day on November 2nd, when prayers were said for the souls of the dead, especially those still in purgatory. All Souls' Day had similarities with Samhain. There were bonfires, parades, and people would dress up in costumes, which often represented saints, angels, or demons. With the Christianization of these festivals, most of the old pagan customs associated with Samhain were continued, though in new contexts. This merger of the two traditions helped form the Halloween that we know today, the evolution of Halloween traditions in medieval Europe. As the Middle Ages unfolded, the traditions of Halloween continued to evolve and spread across diverse parts of Europe. This was also when souling became common in many regions, where poorer commoners would go door to door and pray for those who have died in exchange for food. Quite surprisingly, this immensely resembles trick-or-treating today and provides an early example of how Halloween began to evolve into a more social holiday. It was most prevalent in England, where the soulers would be given soul cakes, small spice cakes, baked for the dead. In return, it was promised that they would pray for the souls of the giver's dead loved ones. This helped not only to continue the Christian theme of honoring the dead, but also to continue the old Celtic custom of making offerings during Samhain. In the 16th century, this practice crystallized into guising, whereby people went from door to door in disguise, often giving songs, poetry, or jokes in exchange for treats, further crystallizing the exact behaviors that would be associated with trick-or-treating today. The rise of Halloween in America. Halloween, as it is celebrated today, began to take its shape when the holiday was transferred to North America by Irish and Scottish immigrants in the 19th century. Traditions of Samhain and guising were carried over with the immigrants, and Halloween soon became an established holiday in the United States. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Halloween started to take on less of a preoccupation with death and the supernatural, and it took more of a form as a holiday for the community. It came complete with neighborhood gatherings, games, parties, and an emphasis on fun and togetherness without the use of fright and the macabre. Halloween parties were very popular, especially among children, and games like bobbing for apples, a holdover from older European harvest festivals, became common activities. Trick-or-treating. The modern custom of trick-or-treating received renewed impetus in the United States during the 1920s and 1930s, partly as a means to help curb Halloween vandalism. The Great Depression had witnessed a spate of mischief and pranks on Halloween evening, so communities began to organize trick-or-treating as a means to promote safer, more organized activities among children. By the 1950s, it had become an all-pervasive activity and a dominant feature of Halloween celebrations in North America. Contributing to this increased popularity was Halloween's growing commercialization in the middle of the 20th century. Candy companies, costume manufacturers, and retailers seized upon the holiday, thereby creating a multi-billion-dollar industry that shows continuous growth into today. The costumes and decorations associated with Halloween became more elaborate, generally inspired by aspects of popular culture, horror films, and television shows. Halloween and pop culture horror films, haunted houses, and beyond. Halloween became associated with the supernatural, horror, and fear due to the popularity of horror movies during the 20th century. Classic films such as Frankenstein, 1931, Dracula, 1931, and The Wolfman, 1941, became synonymous with Halloween since they introduced most of the monsters and other creatures associated with the holiday. Halloween, a quintessential slasher film directed by John Carpenter, was first released in 1978 and for many, sealed Halloween's association with horror. The success of this film spawned a whole host of films dealing with horror and Halloween, contributing to cement the darker and thrilling aspects of this holiday in the public psyche. Another major development of modern Halloween traditions was the rise of haunted houses as a popular attraction. What began as simple haunted walks through darkened homes or cornfields evolved into elaborate, professionally designed haunted houses that would become a major part of Halloween celebrations. Haunted houses tapped into the thrill-seeking elements of Halloween and provided participants with an active horror experience. These commercial haunted attractions remain hugely popular, with millions visiting them each year, and range in pace from family-friendly to intensely frightening. The creation of haunted houses as an organized industry illustrates the ways that Halloween has evolved from an ancient pagan festival into a global, commercialized phenomenon with deep cultural and entertainment meaning. Global spread and adaptations of Halloween. Although Halloween originally came from European-level traditions, it has spread to many other parts of the world. In such countries as Canada, the UK, and Ireland, Halloween is celebrated very much like it is here in America, with trick-or-treating, costumes, and parties being the norm. In other countries, Halloween is adapted into existing local traditions. For example, Dia de los Muertos, Mexico's Day of the Dead. This is not connected with Halloween, but its theme is somehow similar to it. Running from October 31st to November 2nd, Dia de los Muertos mixes the ancient customs of the Aztecs with Catholic traditions that Spanish colonizers brought in. Families design elaborate altars called ofrendas in honor of loved ones who have passed away, offering available foods, flowers, and mementos. Halloween parades in Japan. Recently, Halloween has become very popular, especially in cities like Tokyo. However, it is more of a vibrant festival with lots of costumes rather than the traditional trick-or-treating. The primary activities involve parades and parties with special costumes. Other global variations. Halloween has gradually started to gain celebration in countries like Australia and New Zealand, albeit sometimes with an air of skepticism. In other parts of Europe, it has its run-ins with prevailing festivals such as Guy Fawkes Night in the UK, or the traditions related to All Saints' Day in countries like Spain and Italy. The modern face of Halloween. Halloween today is thus multifaceted. It melts the streams of ancient traditions and modern novelties. Though the ghosts, spirits, and supernatural are still at the heart, Halloween has grown to become a celebration of creativity, community, and fun. The costume aspect of Halloween has extended to include pop culture references, celebrities, and political figures, moving beyond the traditional monsters such as witches and vampires. Similarly, the commercial aspect of Halloween is expanding, with millions of dollars yearly spent on decoration, costume, and candy sales. At its heart, however, Halloween is still a holiday that beckons people to dance with the unknown, whether this be through ghosts and ghouls or simply venturing out. Thank you for spending time with us through Spookscope today. Feel free to share your knowledge and wisdom in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, my dear spooker, stay curious.